It's 2:30, so I think we can get started. Welcome, everyone. So my name is Rebecca Stupson. I'm the manager with the Department of Agriculture and part of the Agriculture in the Classroom Nova Scotia team. So our entire team of 6 people is here this afternoon, to talk to you about some of our resources that we have available free of charge to public school teachers across the province, and also to introduce you to some of the farms in our province. So all of the resources that we have are developed in partnership with the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development to support curriculum outcomes and competency development and to align with the inclusive education policy. We want to bring agriculture to life in your classrooms through inquiry-based learning experiences that include a farm component. Ideally, every classroom will go to a farm or have a farmer come to that classroom, and we have experiences where we facilitate that. But we have also created a number of videos to make sure that every student can get an idea of what modern farms look like, where their food comes from, and the range of rewarding careers available in Nova Scotia's agri-food sector. Each stop on our tour is connected to one of our newer resources, which are all available in English and French, and like I said, free of charge to public school teachers in the province. Our farm tours today aren't actually live. They're pre-recorded to reduce the risk of technology fails. Some of the videos were professionally produced and others made by our team. They'll give you a nice introduction to Nova Scotia agriculture, though, from one end of the province to the other. Each stop is hosted by a different team member, so buckle your seatbelts and get ready to visit some farms. Over to Dawn for our first stop in the beautiful Annapolis Valley.
My name is Dawn Barrington Hodgson, and I'll be your tour guide at our first stop. I'm originally from Cape Breton, but now live in Pictou County. I've worked for the Department of Agriculture for 20 years, currently as a provincial agricultural programming coordinator. The best part of my job is connecting with teachers and students to help bring agriculture to life in the classroom. Our first stop is the Chemical Research and Development Center, operated by Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. We're going to talk to Dr. Beatrice Amiot about a request for the perfect strawberry.
An agriculture research station, like this one where I'm standing, is
I put it in the chat. But we're just
a place where we do all kinds of experiments to find out how to grow plants, which plants to grow, and what types of things might happen when you grow those plants that impact the farmers that are going to grow them and turn them into food. So my job as the breeder of strawberries is to first plant a whole bunch of different kinds of strawberries. And then I walk through the field and I look at those plants and I see which ones are really healthy, which ones have really big fruit, which ones have pests and diseases, which ones don't. And I find the ones that have the best combination of all the characteristics that are important to the grower. So does it grow well? Does it produce lots of fruit? And to the consumer, is that fruit big and attractive and juicy and sweet? And then those plants that have all of those great characteristics, I take them, I make lots and lots of copies, I evaluate them in a research trial on my research farm, and then I tell my grower friends, hey, this one is really nice. I like the fruit, I like the way it grows. What do you think? They tell me, well, I really like this one because it has really nice, big, juicy fruit. But what I don't like about it is the fruit is kind of orange. So I say, okay, what would you prefer? And the growers would say, well, my consumers like fruit that's more red. So then my job as a breeder is to find a fruit that is more red, that has a bunch of good characteristics, make a cross between that bright red one and the orange one that I like, and then find the offspring of that cross that has the best combination of bright red fruit and the really nice healthy looking plant together in one plant. Strawberries have two really interesting ways of reproducing themselves. One of the ways that strawberries reproduce is a mode called asexual reproduction. So this means that there is no transmission of genetic material from one plant to another. It all happens within a single plant. And that single plant uses a strategy called runner production or asexual propagation to make an exact copy of itself. What happens is if you take that little baby plant at the end of the runner and you stick it in the soil, that plant will actually grow and become its own strawberry plant. You can cut the runner between the mother plant and the daughter plant, and now you have two plants identical to each other. There's another way that strawberries reproduce, and that's by making seeds. So seeds are a means of sexual reproduction, which in plants means that there's two plants that start, a mother and a father, that give rise to the next generation of plants, which start from seeds. On the berry, as you know, there's hundreds and hundreds of seeds around the outside of each fruit. So each of those seeds has half of their genetic material from the father, from the pollen parent, and half of their genetic material from the mother or from the female parent. We can take all of those seeds together from one strawberry and plant them in the field. Now our job is to pick individuals that we really like, that have that really nice combination of great characteristics from the mother parent and from the father parent. And then we use that second reproductive strategy, runner propagation or asexual propagation, to make hundreds and thousands of identical copies or clones of our one new plant, which we call a selection. We use both reproduction strategies. We use the seeds and the runners to find plants that have great characteristics all across the board and give those plants to the industry so they can make better plants and better fruit for consumers.
Grade 9 science teachers can bring meiosis, mitosis, and plant reproduction to life in the classroom through our Quest for the Perfect Strawberry learning experience. We provide teachers with a hydroponic growing kit, strawberry seeds, strawberry plants, and a lesson plan. We send the growing kits and planting materials out twice each year, in the early fall and again after March break. The hydroponic kit is very easy to set up and use is very low maintenance to operate once it's running. You just need to top up the water levels and add nutrients once a week. It can be placed on the floor or a table or a countertop, and it comes with an LED light, so it doesn't require a natural light source. In addition to the video we just watched, we have 4 other videos in the series. One where Dr. Amnia explains the difference between meiosis and mitosis, a trip to a strawberry nursery that grows strawberry plants for sale, and a trip to a commercial strawberry farm that grows strawberries hydroponically and in the field. Growing strawberries from seeds and bare root plants gives students an unforgettable demonstration of sexual and asexual reproduction that will stick with them. A teacher who participated in the program last year told us the highlight of the program for her was when the plants began to flourish and they really felt like they had achieved something tangible with their care and hard work. I hope you enjoyed our visit to the Kentville Research and Development Center. Over to Alicia for the next stop.
My name is Alicia Dennis, and I'm a summer assistant with the Department of Agriculture this year. I also grew up in Pictou County, and I found my love for agriculture through 4-H Nova Scotia. I'm going into my 4th year of my undergrad as an animal science major at Dalhousie Agricultural Campus. As a student who's a hands-on learner, I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I had this summer with the ITC to develop some of these fantastic resources for the farms to use. The weather is a thing that Canadians love to talk about, and no one loves to talk about it more than farmers. It has such a huge impact. Different crops like the weather conditions to be just so, and when it isn't, farmers have to adapt. Let's hear how Spur Brothers Farm in Greenwood adapts to different weather conditions.
Hi there, my name is Lisa Generu and I'm from Spur Brothers Farms. I'm a 5th generation farmer. We grow both fruits and vegetables here on this farm. Hi there, so here we are in one of our beautiful potato fields and we're getting really close to harvest. But one of the issues that we have dealing with any crops is weather. And some of the issues that we have with weather are that it may be too wet or too dry. And with climate change coming on, that's becoming more of an issue for growers. So we have to do things to kind of help the crops along when we run into those type of problems. So one of the things that we need to do is we've got to make sure that the crops are well watered. That way we get these nice green leaves, healthy fruit and vegetables. So we have behind us here what we call a pivot. And so this piece of equipment runs right across the field. It could run in a complete circle if we had an entire field to go around, but it will go about 180 degrees around this field, watering it. So it's just moving. You can hardly see it in the background, but it's moving ever so slowly, putting the perfect amount of water on this crop to make it healthy and strong and give you the best quality potatoes that you can find. So that is just one of the ways that we deal with, say, a droughty condition, which would be not getting enough water at the proper time. Another thing that we also do when we're dealing with weather is we can also have very wet spells. And so it's a little harder to see in this field, but these are all hilled up. All these potatoes are on this nice hill. And what that does is it helps the water drain from the field quicker when you have a lot of water. And in the past, we would get maybe an inch of rain at a time. But again, because of the changes in the weather we're seeing, we'll sometimes get 3 inches, 4 inches at one time. These crops can't handle that much. So we have to adjust the way that we grow the crops in order to protect the roots, protect the vegetables that are under there, and protect the tops, which is what is feeding everything that's going on underground. So here we are in the orchard, beautiful apple orchard on a beautiful day. And what we're looking at here is called a G dot. So are you wondering, how do we even know when to water? Well, that's a really good question. Probably if you talk to a farmer from years ago, they'll say you need about an inch of rain every week. But we have even more precise ways of figuring out whether we need to turn on the water or not. And this little moisture meter here, called a G dot, runs right into the ground. You can see the cord here, and there's a moisture meter that is buried deep in the soil where the root system is. And it tells us how moist or how dry the soil is. So you can see on here, I call this the lazy farmer's moisture meter, because all you have to do is drive past it. You don't have to get out of your truck, just drive past and you can see whether you're getting into a critical time or not. So the less dots, the less yellow dots, the more dry it is. So if it's up at the top, you know you're good to go. If you're in the middle, you better start thinking about watering. And when you're down to 2 dots, it's getting critical. You got to get the water on. So this is a really good indicator of what's happening well below the soil. So we know that 2 dots means we got to water, and this is what we use to water in the orchards. This is called a trickle line, and it puts out little droplets of water on the tree. And we'll run this for many hours to feed the tree the water it needs to grow healthy crops. So this is one of 2 weather stations that we have here on the farm. And the great thing about this is it's giving us data in real time. So I can pull out my phone and I can and see exactly how fast the wind is traveling at what speed. I can see how much rainfall we got every 15 minutes, and I can see important things that maybe only growers talk about, but how long the leaf surface stays wet for, which is super important, especially in apples. So hi there, now we are right beside a pear orchard. And so we've been talking a lot about weather today. And one of the other most critical times is during bloom time in the orchards. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but a few years ago we had what we call a freeze. And that means the blossoms were out, the fruits were just starting to form, and the temperatures got very, very cold. And that year we lost about 80% of our apple crop, pear crop, because of that freeze. So what can we do to help with something like that? So maybe your parents or maybe your grandparents or somebody in your life has a garden, and in the springtime when it gets really cold, they go and they cover the garden all up with blankets, or maybe they bring stuff inside to keep it from getting too cold. We don't have that option out here because we can't move the trees inside. So this is one of the things that we can do to help. This is called a cold air drain. And what it does is if you have, if you're in your house, let's say, and you've got a ceiling fan, you know that hot air rises. And in order to push that hot air down, you got to have a ceiling fan to push the hot air back down. And then your house gets all warm. And that's exactly what this does. Pretty much what it's doing is the hot air is up there and we need it to come down. So this is on a hill. Cold air is hanging out down low. It's coming to the bottom of the hill. There's a big, huge fan under here. It sucks all the cold air into that fan, pushes it way up in the sky above the hot air. And then that cold air is pushing down, pushing down, pushing down, putting the hot air just below it. Now the hot air is coming down into the orchards. So this thing will just keep sucking the cold air out and pushing it up, and that will push the hot air down. So you're wondering, well, how big of a difference will it make? Probably about 2 degrees. And you're thinking, 2 degrees? If it's -3 or -5, what does it matter? Huge difference. -3 to -5 determines whether we have a crop of apples or we don't have a crop of apples. So 2 degrees is all we need sometimes to save our crop. So equipment like this is critical to what we're doing now. And so we can go into the spring with more confidence, knowing that we have better ways to protect our crop.
You know who else is talking about weather? Grade 5 science teachers. There are a lot of curriculum outcomes related to weather. In our Weather on the Farm resource, classrooms will receive information on the growing requirements for a number of crops, as well as weather data tables showing daily minimum and maximum temperatures and precipitation amounts. Students will have the opportunity to interpret the data, which crops would have grown best in of each of the sample growing seasons. The learning experience looks at weather-related oral traditions, including Mi'kmaq oral traditions. There is also an opportunity to learn about the weather and the seasons and how they affect food availability by examining the Wabanahkik food year and seasonal availability of food produced on Nova Scotian farms. This learning experience can be in a single class period or over several and can be done at any time of the year. Over to DMR for the next stop.
Hi, my name is Dima Richards, and I'm also a summer student with the Department of Agriculture this year through the Black Youth Development and Mentorship Program. I didn't know much about agriculture or agriculture careers before I started this job, and I'm learning so much. It's crucial for students to know how important agriculture careers are, for we need more people working to secure our global food supply. I would have benefited a lot from the Gen Ed program. So Agriculture in the Classroom, Nova Scotia, has partnered with Agriculture in the Classroom Canada to deliver the Gen Ed program to grade 9 students. In Gen Ed, students learn about agriculture careers and marketing, and then design and deliver an idea to market to their peers. Why are agriculture careers so important? Well, for one thing, you can do almost anything in agriculture, right? From farming to research to technology development to international commodity trade. The sky's the limit. Plus, global food supply is at risk due to climate change, and we need today's students excited about taking on this challenge. For our next 4 stops, we're going to visit Snow River Farm in Cooksbrook and the Dalhousie Agricultural Campus in Bible Hill, along with a class of Gen Ed students from Grand Prairie Junior High in Cold Harbor.
So today we're here at Dalhousie Agriculture Campus in Truro. Our students are here to do a campus tour, to learn about different paths in agriculture. And it started as a project with the Department of Agriculture called the Gen Ag Project, where my students were given a task. And the task was to figure out how to try and encourage young people to get into the field of agriculture, to look at real world problems, for example, the potential food crisis as we move forward. And when in Canada, when we have fewer and fewer people getting involved in the agriculture industry, how can we deal with that as grade 9 students? They don't have a whole lot of experience with the field of agriculture. So kind of opening their eyes a little bit, not only for themselves, but where their food comes from on an everyday basis, getting them to think about things that they hadn't necessarily thought of before. I think they learned the different sides of agriculture, including things like law and accounting and different career paths that they wouldn't necessarily have made a connection with. And this kind of helped them see just how many different careers go into food production. I think the Gen Ag program allowed my students to see this as a potential career path for them in a number of different ways. Real world experiences like going out and seeing what the work, I think, that goes into producing food and things like that. For example, a trip to Snowy River Farms, where they got to see firsthand what it was like for an independent farmer to be working every single day and how they contribute to agriculture. So the real life experiences, I think, is important, that they wouldn't have otherwise had. They learned that farming wasn't just digging through dirt and taking care of animals. Watching them experience things like when they go to a farm and they see the real life work that goes into it, and the animals are walking around and they're all being in the scheduling, all of it that they wouldn't necessarily have thought of before. And so watching the wide-eyed looks on their faces is it's kind of cool.
Gen Ed is fully available in English and French. We've had developing opportunities, English, French immersion, and citizenship teachers sign up in the past. It takes 4 class periods, and students enter presentations based on their career marketing plan into a provincial competition. The winning presentation earns a $500 cash prize for their class. This program is offered in the spring, and interested teachers can register starting in January of 2022. Over to Caitlin for the next slide.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Carroll, and I'm a summer assistant with the Department of Agriculture this year. I'm originally from PEI, but now I live in Truro with my family. I have a degree in animal science from the Dalhousie Agricultural Campus, and I will be attending the Atlantic Veterinary College in PEI this fall. I'm going to take you back to Bible Hill to take a look at the Department of Agriculture Soil Analysis Lab. I'm going to bet there's a lot about soil that you don't know. Most people pay it no attention as they walk over it every day, but it is one of the most important natural resources we have on the planet, the basis of all life. Imagine Earth as an apple. Slice the apple into 4 quarters. 3 quarters is water, and 1 quarter is land. Take the 1 quarter that is land and slice it in half. 1/8 is inhospitable to people. These are the polar ice caps, the mountains, etc. 1/8 is land that people can live on. Take that 1/8 of land and slice it in half again. 1/16 is too cold, too wet, too rocky, or too dry to grow food. 1/16 could produce food for humans and animals. Take that 1/16 and slice it in half again. 1/32 is covered in highways, houses, buildings, and other manufactured structures. So 1/32 is all that is left to grow food, right? Wrong. Carefully cut the peel off of that last 1/32 section. This represents the surface of the earth and is all the soil that is used to grow crops and food for humans and animals. This thin peeling is what supports the over 7.5 billion people on Earth. This thin peeling is a diminishing, precious resource that must be conserved.
Hi, I'm Amy Sangster, and I'm here in the Soils Lab, in the Soil Grinding Lab, and I'm with the Department of Agriculture. Soils obviously are really important to farmers because it's really the foundation of their entire farm. That's where everything starts. And in Nova Scotia, we have so much variety of different types of farms, and they are all essentially really based, even the livestock farms are based on soil. That's where it starts. So we have 3 different soils here, and this is just to illustrate that soils are not all the same. In fact, if you were standing in a field with a friend, they would be different from where your friend was standing to where you were standing. Here you can see a little bit of difference in color, and that sometimes will tell you that there's a difference in the level of organic matter in a soil. We've ground these samples, so you're not really getting a good view of what the structure looks like, but soils can be different in their chemical analysis, they can be different in their physical structure, and they can be different in their soil biology too. So a lot of variabilities in soil.
Hi, my name is Jody Dodge. I'm a laboratory analyst with the Nova Scotia Department of Agriculture, and welcome to my Soils Lab. On a typical day in the Soils Lab, I see approximately 96 samples, which is 4 trays. I chose this line of work because it requires a certain level of analytical mindedness and organizational skills, and I feel like those are my strong points, and it really plays into what I enjoy. There's typically 3 tests that I will perform: organic matter, pH, and extraction for ICP analysis.
It's really important for farmers to be able to measure their soil and what's in their soil, because in order to manage their soil, they have to measure their soil. Soil testing for farmers is incredibly important. When you're able to measure what's in your soil, there's a real cost savings to farmers. They know that they're not putting too much fertilizer on or too much of a soil amendment. There's also an environmental factor there. We want to make sure that we're not putting too much on, because too much could be bad for the environment, and consequently, actually, too little might also be bad for the environment. And the third reason is, of course, it's called what we would call an agronomic reason, and that is that we want to make sure that we are really accurately measuring the amount of nutrients in the soil that match the crop demand, and that's so that we can grow really healthy, nutritious crops.
Hi, I'm Lori Scott. I'm the lab supervisor here at the Animal and Plant Lab. I think it's important for everyone to care about their soil, not just farmers or people in the agricultural industry. If you're someone who's growing vegetables at home, I think it's important to know what's in your soil, whether it's lacking nutrients or maybe it has too many nutrients. We do a mineral analysis here, pH, organic matter, all types of testing to provide useful information for everyone who's interested in soil testing.
If I were to say one thing about soil that I think people should know, I think it's probably the most important resource we have on the planet. We all have to eat. I know everybody's eating today, and taking care of our soils ensures that we're taking care of ourselves.
We have a new resource called Digging Deeper that is linked to the grade 7 and 8 renewed science curriculums. Grade 7 outcomes around Ndukulimk, environmental stewardship, particles, and the formation of geographic features. as well as the grade 8 outcomes around climate change. Agriculture in the Classroom Nova Scotia will send your classroom a set of soil samples taken from sites around the province. You can implement this learning experience in your classroom at any time of the year, but we do need teachers to register in September so that we can dig up the soil samples for you before the ground freezes. These inquiries are in-depth and can take 10 to 15 classes to finish. The students will get to do so many cool things to learn more about soil. For example, they can put the soil in a 2-liter pop bottle and grow some seeds, which we will provide, and then simulate rainfall and see how different vegetative covers protect the soil from erosion. Students can determine soil composition, pH, bulk density, and other properties. They can also measure soil respiration using Pasco probes to learn more about how soil stores carbon. We're working on a video series to accompany this learning experience called Soil Defenders that will feature some people like Amy, Lori, and Jody, who are all working hard to protect the soil in the province. Over to Jacqueline for our next stop.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline Hoyt, and I'm the Provincial Agriculture Programming Coordinator with the Department of Agriculture, providing support to the Agriculture in the Classroom program. I grew up on a dairy farm in Old Barns, just outside of Trickle. The best part of my job is when we get feedback from teachers who love our resources and how much their students are learning about agriculture and farming. I'm going to take you to Courthouse Hill Farm, a dairy farm in Gore, Nova Scotia, that is one of 3 farms in the province with a biodigester that produces renewable electricity for the provincial power grid.
Okay, my name is Greg Blois. We're on Courthouse Hill Farm and Courthouse Hill Energy here in Gorhance County. We have a family farm that's 3 brothers, Paul, Barron, and myself. And my son Morgan is here full-time. My daughter helps out for me, and we have 2 other full-time employees. We milk about 150 cows. We have about 350 head altogether. There's about 800 acres of cropland dedicated to the farm and about 1,000 acres of woodland. Plus we also have blueberries, wild blueberries. We have about manage and own about over 500 acres of wild blueberries. And then we started into this aerobic digester. Feedstock was the main issue. We could either grow crops or we could use off-farm materials. We looked at off-farm and started looking at the organic waste food stream lines. So we talked to Miller Waste and some of the other waste handling companies that run the facilities in Dartmouth and in Halifax. Struck up a relationship with Miller Waste. They were interested in doing more food processing and interested in aerobic digestion. So that got us on the path of chatting with Miller Waste and getting a waste stream from them. There's about 50,000 tons of organic waste generated through HRM. We need about 15,000 tons to run our facility. So they were willing to put in a DPAC system to take the organic waste into a slurry that we could accept here at the farm. Also, the choice of our type of aerobic digester needed to be robust enough to take what grit and material would be coming through an organic waste system stream from Miller Waste. So we opted for an industrial style digester that has a cleaning ability, a scraper in the bottom, as a grit, pieces of stone and whatnot that would get through the DPAC system would be coming in the material. So this tank has a scraper in the bottom, plus it has a skimmer in the top that takes out any plastics, because there's going to be some hard plastics to get through the DPAC system. So that way it's continually cleaning our digester. We've been operating the digester since the spring of 2018. We were reaching pretty well full potential, 500 kilowatts, which will do about 300 homes. And we have the waste product coming out of here that we'll use on the farm, and the heat from the generator heats the plant, plus heats the barn, hot water, and my house. So when the gas leaves the digester tank, It follows that bright shiny line, as we can see, all the way around. And then it comes into this building here, and there's a great big, there's nothing but a big bag in that building. And that's storing the gas. And as gas is being made, there's different types of gas. So it acts as a mixing chamber too. So when the gas leaves the generator, it goes through that lower line and through the chiller. Biogas has a lot of moisture in it. So we're collecting the moisture all the way along. And what moisture is left, it's being taken out in that chiller, and then it goes into the generator. I'll show you the generator in a minute. It's in that big building. That's what creates the power. So this is the gas storage, the bag. The gas comes in here, mixes with other gases as it's being produced, and then out the other side up to the generator. So you distribute the engine. That's where the biogas comes into. It's the fuel for that engine, which drives the generator, which sends the power out on the line. And as far as the engine is concerned, a normal car would be like a 2-liter engine. This is a 36.5-liter engine, 12-cylinder, 850 horsepower. I want to thank you for visiting the farm, Port Hill Farm, Port Hill Energy. We've been here for 8 generations, and hopefully many more to come.
We have a new resource available for grade 6 science linked to curriculum outcomes around renewable energy. Through inquiry-based classroom experience, students can make biogas on their own using different feedstock materials. Here's an example of an experiment that I conducted myself.
I ran the experiment that is included in our renewable energy learning experience last summer, using food from my kitchen, as well as pelleted chicken manure. The food and manure pellets were blended with water and placed in plastic bottles with balloons attached, and left to sit for 7 days. Over the course of the 7 days, you can see the amount of biogas changes over time. This is a low-cost, simple experiment that can be done individually or as a class to visualize biogas production.
Your students will love seeing the balloons filled with biogas. How cool that they can produce a tiny amount of renewable energy right in the classroom. It only takes a week or so to produce a biogas. You'll need 1 class period to set up the experiment, and then the students can check in and evaluate it over additional class periods. You can also repeat the experiment with different variables if the students are interested, like the size of the bottle or the temperature of the room. This learning experience can be conducted at any time of the year. Just ask us for the lesson plan and get started. Over to Rebecca for our last stop.
Hi, everyone. For our last stop, we're going to the Mi'kmaq community of Stupson. Did you know that almost all of the crops we grow in Nova Scotia originated somewhere else in the world? Blueberries are one of the only crops that are native to this province. They have been harvested by the Mi'kmaq for thousands of years, who preserve them during the harvest to eat all year. Let's listen to Elder Ernest Johnson and Elder Kenneth Paul explain the meaning of Pkwiman, the Mi'kmaq word for wild blueberry.
My background is language, and I understand that the Mi'kmaq language is distinctive and descriptive. And when we say blueberries in Mi'kmaq, like in English or any other language, blueberries are just berries that are blue. But there's no distinction about them. There's a little bit of description, but no distinction. We look at a raspberry in Mi'kmaq, and we say it's a berry that just holds on, that just holds on. Okay, then we know what we're looking for. But the blueberry has a very distinctive name. You know, when the blueberry grows up in clusters, they grow up in clusters. And when you want to remove them, you have to many poids, many poids. Pkwiman. So that's what you do to together, many poids. So they have that very Pkwiman. They have nothing to do with what they're good for, but how do you recognize them? And that's, you have to peel them off the vine. You have to go and peel it.
The only place in the world where wild blueberries are grown commercially is in the historic territory of the Wabanahkik Confederacy, which includes Mi'kmaki as well as Maine and parts of Quebec. Our new learning experience, Pkwiman, will guide grade 7 science students through curriculum outcomes related to ecological adaptation and Ndugalam, and grade 8 social studies students through outcomes related to technological, social, and economic changes in the 20th century, using the expansion of the wild blueberry sector as an illustration. We've created 3 videos and obtained a license to a 4th video to support student learning. In addition to explaining the Mi'kmaq name for wild blueberries, the elders talk about working on a large wild blueberry farm in Maine, the tradition of harvesting blueberries around Escasoni in the past, and how the tradition might be revived and different methods of preserving the harvest. We also have a video from a wild blueberry farmer talking about modern wild blueberry production methods, and a graduate student at Dalhousie University Faculty of Agriculture who is working on machine learning and optical sensing technology to reduce herbicide use in wild blueberry fields. And the 4th video that we've obtained a license to is the documentary Voices from the Barrens. It's a long-standing tradition for many Mi'kmaq people across the Maritimes to travel to Maine in August to assist with the blueberry harvest there. And the documentary tells this story. Science students can explore blueberry preservation methods, the origins of the crops we eat, why wild blueberries are grown commercially and other native berry species are not, and how traditional Mi'kmaq management practices compare with modern practices through the lens of Ndugalam. Social studies students can learn about entrepreneurship in the wild blueberry industry, the impact of 20th century social programs on the availability of farm labor, and the impact of advances in harvesting and refrigeration technology on our province. This learning experience can be conducted at any time of year, although if you want students to test different methods of blueberry preservation, you'll have to do that in early to mid-September when fresh blueberries are still available. We'll provide you with links to all the videos, a teacher guide, and grade 7 and grade 8 student-facing learning magazines to guide your students through the various inquiries. So thanks for joining us on this tour. Let us know which stop was your favorite. And also send us your email address so that we can send you more information on our resources. Also, this is just a sampling of our resources. We have lots more to offer. We didn't talk about many of our early elementary resources, like all kinds of apples, where we send a selection of apple varieties out to primary to 3 classrooms. We have a new book about animal welfare called Care for pre-primary classrooms. Our Chick Hatch program this spring is very popular for P to 6. And we have little green sprouts, microgreen growing kits that we have available for grades 2 to 5. So please visit our website to see more or follow us on Facebook for the most up-to-date information on what resources are available and when we are accepting applications. We're excited to partner with teachers to bring agriculture into your classroom. Does anyone have any questions? What is the email address? Okay, I'll type it in the chat. It's ag.education@novascotia.ca. Okay. Any other questions? All right, if there's no more questions, feel free to email us or find us on Facebook. Thanks everyone for going on this farm tour with us, and we look forward to hearing from you.